sorry, guys. I know you all wanted your Taffy intro. We're going to save the Taffy intro for locals tonight.
Yeah, we got a big show tonight because I have my member stream. You guys got your local stream. Mine's going to be on members and Patreon. So we'll see who gets the signups tonight. Who gets the signups?
So the original game plan was Michael Lofton threatened to sue us. So Christian and I have been speaking a little bit, and he's like, let's just get on and we'll talk about it. And then something big happened behind the scenes where we're like, okay, we can't talk about that because Michael had reached out to both of us. So we're not going to discuss it on YouTube, but if you guys can reach into your pockets and scrape some pennies together and stop being cheap and come subscribe to either Christian's channel or our channel, either Scholastic Answers or Avoiding Babylon at Locals, you guys will get we spilled the tea over on Locals. That's what Molly says, right? Molly says that's what we spilled the tea. So yeah, we're gonna discuss it over there. Christian actually had a conversation with Michael, and Michael emailed me, so we'll get into it over there. But
yeah, Anthony likes to act like a tough guy. You know, me, I was like carrying both my kids, getting my fishing stuff together, drinking some beer, and I got the phone, like that, doing it, and I had a whole conversation like that. Anthony just like calls me, he's like, Christian, I don't know what to do. I'm really nervous about it. So I had to be the man here and deal with business, but Anthony likes to talk big game.
We'll talk about it over there because I don't want to do it on YouTube, but we both have some interesting perspectives on this, and we'll see how that goes. But I have been talking to you a little bit behind the scenes about just I feel like there's a monumental shift coming in Catholic media. I kind of wrote a tweet about this the other day saying, I mean, you want to pull it up? I don't want to go through this whole stupid thing, but
Francis one.
Yeah, I threw it in there. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I said Pope Francis was the lifeblood of the trad movement. He pushed normie conservative Catholics into the trad column. He spawned an entire industry of new Catholic media where every day there was a new headline to be outraged by. For 10 years, Francis called Catholics who lean conservative names like rigid and backwardist. He made normal Novus Ordo conservative Catholics feel like they had more in common with trads than they did with the Pope. That era is over. Pope Leo is not that villain. So, I mean, should I just do the whole stupid thing?
No.
My final thing in there said, Leo is going to kill the trad movement, not with a heavy hand, but with squishy platitudes that allow everyone to hear what they want. Entire media companies that flourished under Francis are going to collapse if they don't figure out a new strategy. I want to be very clear. I didn't mean the trad movement. I'm talking about Catholic media. I think the trad movement, like the real trad movement, will probably look more similar to what it did under Benedict and, when they were getting their indult and then Summorum came out, it kind of expanded a little bit. But what we experienced under Francis was very unique in that it made people come together that probably would not have come together otherwise. And I'm watching guys who were friends under Francis now starting to take shots at each other and take jabs at each other. And I don't think it's actually about anybody's position on Leo. I think it's a battle of strategy. They can't figure out what to do. You have all these people just kind of scrambling for how to react under Leo. And I'm curious to see how this all plays out because I mean, I don't know. Nick Cavazzo said today, am I leaving the trad movement?
I think there was something because I mean, we named it like the end of trad Catholicism. Obviously, we're not talking about the people who go to an SSPX mass or the people who go to whatever sort of mass or live whatever sort of lifestyle. We're mainly talking about a type of media complex. But I think that while we named it trad Catholicism, I think it is really the any sort of environment that thrives off of sensationalism surrounding the Pope. And that wasn't only right-leaning, that was also left-leaning.
Yeah.
You had a lot of different media that was based on trying to make the Pope sounds like a communist, Marxist, and reach out to that sort of sector for a type of liberal who wanted to use that to dunk on Catholics. You had a type of media that was Pope-splaining, people who were out there simply to try to reconcile the statements of Francis with tradition, sometimes attacking tradition, sometimes stretching a little bit in how to interpret Francis. So I think that each one of these different groups, if that was your thing, like if you, like for me, for example, that wasn't really like my thing. Like I would talk about it, but I did a million other things. Like that was maybe 10% of the actual content that I made. So switching over to a different form of, Pope tracking, like I do with my bi-weekly Pope Leo stream, or bi-monthly, I guess, Pope Leo stream, that's some sort of completely different content than sensationalizing the Pope. So I think on every single side, you have a lot of people losing their footing, and you're going to see the destruction of quite a few of these different media groups derived off of that sort of content.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you want to say something, Rob?
I was just going to say, yeah, I think you're right. It's not just the trad side. Like, I don't think where Peter exists without Pope Francis.
I haven't seen where Peter is in forever.
It's kind of like Leo also killed the Pope-splainer. You know what I mean? Like he and this isn't me saying Leo is this great guy. Like I have my opinions on Leo. I think Leo, I think Leo is a perfect embodiment of what I see happening in the church right now, which is kind of the church in its passion is weakened. And because I don't care if you agree with my stance on this. This is very, completely opinion. I think that the church is going through her passion. And I would imagine if the church is going through her passion, it's not like the church is teaching heresy. It's that it's kind of weakened and it's not boldly proclaiming the truth. It's kind of soft pedaling things to not be so offensive. And I kind of see Leo as the embodiment of that, where even in that interview we just saw with Crux, I don't know why everybody's saying Crux. It's Crux, right? The crux of the matter. Isn't that? It's bizarre the way people are pronouncing that, and it's not a knock to Leo. It's not anything. Leo, I just think, is a product of Vatican II Catholicism, and he's terrified. He's a boomer. So he's afraid to offend people, and he's kind of exactly what I expected him to be. He's not like I'm not surprised by any of it. And I'm watching people react like they did under Francis toward him. Like this last interview, they're acting like he's a revolutionary, and he's just not. He's not at all a revolutionary. You're not going to see the same outrage about him. He's just I think he's a faithful Catholic that's afraid to offend people, which is a very common thing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think more people now under Leo are willing to, when they see those headlines of like Pope Leo does this, Pope Leo said this, I think they're more likely to roll their eyes and move on rather than actually like getting enraged about it. I think the example of the interview is really good because there was a statement that he made in there like, I don't foresee the church's teaching changing on homosexual issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I don't think any of us foresee the church's teaching changing on homosexual issues. That's not really the point, right? I mean, that's something that we can all agree upon. It's just stated in such a way as to be liable to a multitude of interpretations. It's a very softened way of stating it, rather than just going out there and saying, which, Francis himself actually spoke like this, to say, no, it is like, for example, in the interview with 60 Minutes on issues surrounding female priests, female deacons. They asked him straight up, like, is it ever possible for this to happen? He said, no. Oh, if he said something like that, something like Francis framed that issue, people would somehow have a greater reverence for him, even though technically speaking, those two statements communicate the same content. They just communicate them in different ways.
It's interesting because I'm watching people see the same interview and pulling completely different things.
Yeah,
I watched Gavin Ashenden talk about like decoding him, and then I watched Stephen Cox's video today, and I actually understand all of these arguments, and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I get like the uber trads who are like, no, we need a pope who's going to speak clearly and speak the truth. And then I also get the people who are like, no, he's trying to be he's trying to be gentle and go about it this way. And then you have James, like we're still in this scenario where the James Martins and the Cardinal Burkes are both claiming him to be their guy.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird place to be in the church right now.
I was crashing out over this a little bit because this is really like the stupidest. People really, I think they're getting bored and they're trying to look at, because with Francis, like, you know, I loved them, I defended them, but it was pretty easy every day to find something to get pissed off about.
Yeah.
And just reading, you know, daily sermons and letters and whatever, it's fine. It's easy to find something to get pissed off about if you're of the right disposition. But with Leo, it's kind of really boring. Like when I don't mean it like that, but when I read, that's
all I've been saying. I'm like, we're gonna have a boring papacy.
Be boring, actually. Like when I read through a lot of his magisterium, I've read through everything he's ever written as Pope. When I read through a lot of it, I actually, like, in my streams, I don't really cover a lot of things because it's like, okay, he's going to, you know, speak about the Sunday gospel, and he just kind of explains it like you would hear in your Sunday morning homily. Like there's nothing like special about it except, you know, it's the gospel and that's awesome and it's explaining sacred scripture, but it's not, you know, exciting. You know, it's not provocative. You don't really see anything like that. And Pope Leo, he has, so people, what they have to do is really, in order to generate the same sort of like media stir, the same sort of controversy, what they really need to do is they need to look for stuff to get pissed off about. So they're like, he met Cardinal Burke. And then you see people just like getting pissed off about it. It's like, he met, you know, Father James Martin, and Father James Martin said this, and they get pissed off about it. And really, if you're at the point that you are now scrupulously looking through all of the people that the Pope meets, like you need to grow up. Like you really you should be doing better things with your life. It's really such a waste of time. It's like, why are you doing this? There are genuine things to get pissed off about, like the LGBT mass, you know, in Rome. Like that's genuinely, if you get pissed off about it, you are exactly disposed to the right sort of affections. And if you're trying to explain this away, or if you're not pissed off about this, then you really need to have an examination of conscience, and you need to think about some things, because that should drive you to some very
righteous
anger. Yes, exactly. To drive you to some righteous anger. And that's, I guess, all that I have to say, because if you're comparing, you know, meeting with somebody to the LGBT mass, and that's in your media presentation, the same thing, you're kind of missing the point. You're missing a point of proportionality with how you express things.
I think that I'm looking at it like we have 15 years of Pope Leo ahead of us. And I'm very concerned with things like what Rob just had to endure because of Traditionis Custodes to get his child baptized. Like he has to travel 4 hours. We couldn't get a priest set up to actually do it. Like people's lives are chaotic right now because they want a Latin mass. And we're going to have 15 years of Leo. So I understand both approaches. I understand the people who are like, we cannot compromise the truth. We need to speak the truth. Blah, 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 blah. And then I also understand that people are going, look, we have to be a little strategic about this. Like the Pope's extending an olive branch. Why would you not want to give that, like extend one back and say, okay, we're like, why would you want to make the daily lives of your fellow Catholics a living hell just for clicks at this point? Like we're not in the Francis era anymore. I think that we all have to figure out a new strategy for all of this, and how we even do social media, how we do our YouTube channels. Like it was very easy to generate this outrage for years under Francis. I mean, Rob and I made the decision early on. We're like, we're not going to do papal news every day. So this show isn't actually about Leo. The show is about like the media,
how people respond.
Yeah, it's more just me seeing people that I genuinely like handling Leo the same way they handled Francis, and I'm like, you guys are going to have a very big problem if you don't figure out something new, because we have to get back to just actually discussing the faith, teaching the faith, preparing the next generation. Because a lot of these outlets, and I'm saying this with affection to you guys if you're watching, you're not speaking to the younger generation by doing the boomer clickbait stuff. Like, the younger generation does not respond to the outrage stuff the same way the older generation did. So I'm seeing very few guys being able to communicate with millennials and Gen Z, and they're still doing the same thing they did on the Francis. And I want to know how we pass the faith on to the next generation and actually catechize them so that we do have this longer term strategy for when we can get the most base pope ever for real.
Yeah. I think there's this is really good, because I think there's both a like descending and there's also like an ascending aspect to this. There's two aspects, because there's obviously like the aspect of the relationship of the content creator with those consuming the content, like your average layman. For me to, and I get it's a little bit hypocritical, because the fact that this is a show about, this sort of thing, and we're not just going in and talking about, the incarnation or whatever, or something in the spiritual life, but having a constant sort of diet of contemporary news coming out of Rome, with who's getting appointed where, or whatever else is there, that really doesn't feed those people to be able to actually engage in Catholic action. That's something that I want to instill in everybody, is that, you should take, especially the teaching of Leo, because I think he's really, really good on this. You should take all of what you hear and you should actually put it into action, whether it's, in your parish or in the government or in business or whatever else. So there's that descending aspect where people are starving in the content realm for actually quality material that's just not rehashed takes about whatever's going around Twitter right now. There's also an ascending thing. So us in the hierarchy, because I think a lot of content creators forget, and this is something that I've been realizing more and more in the last few months, that actually Rome we have this image that Rome like doesn't know who Taylor Marshall is, or Rome doesn't know who Michael Lofton is, or Rome doesn't know who the sort of what is going on in the content sphere in the Anglo speaking world. And I think that's actually completely wrong. I actually think that there is some sort of general awareness of what is going on through a lot of these different outlets. And I think a lot of people in Rome actually know some of these outlets by name and have a very bad taste in their mouth about these. And I think that this actually does affect the way in which we get treated. Of course, it's not, victim blaming, but it is a way of understanding that we need to be, as you said, we need to be prudent about if we want to better our chances of change, then the best way of going about it is not to cry wolf all the time. Like, sure, if there is actually something legitimately bad, and there are very strong grounds for bringing this up, and you're not just a-logging the Pope, like there's actually a situation which people are genuinely scandalized, like the situation with the LGBT mass. To freak out about that, to speak out about that, to make us stink about that makes sense. And if that was the only thing we freaked out about the last 6 months, if that's how the trad media sphere worked, that would actually probably get a much better hearing. It's kind of like when you have the woman who always complains all the time. The broad's always complaining. She's complaining about something all the time, and she complains about something serious. You just kind of filter it out. That's why women are always complaining about their husbands not listening to them, because they're always complaining. They complain once every 6 months. You probably
pick your battles, ladies. Pick your battles, and maybe we'll pay attention when you.
It's really the exact same reason why Anthony waits 30 days to hang things on the walls. Because if he did it all the time, it would just become expected of him.
Exactly.
But if he does it once a month, then for that day, he is a hero.
I told you, out of principle, I will leave a picture. My wife will ask me to hang something, and out of principle, I won't do it for 30 days. Because if I did just hang it right away, I come home the next day and there'd be another picture for me to hang. So I leave it there for 30 days. And then when she's not home, I will hang it without her asking. And then when she comes home and sees it hung, she thinks I'm a hero. I'm telling you, it's very easy to make yourself seem way better of a person than you are in your marriage. Anyway, so what's interesting with Leo is under Francis, you had when Fiducia Supplicans comes out, every news article comes out saying that Francis is allowing for gay blessings. What happened with this Leo interview is the total opposite. You had every news outlet going out, like the mainstream news came out and they were like, Leo puts the kibosh on LGBT. They basically took the opposite approach. So I know we as, more conservative or trads are reading that and we're like, man, this sounds really squishy. But one of the biggest problems with Francis was the scandal he caused through the way he spoke and the way the media ran with everything. You're not seeing that under Leo. You're seeing actually the opposite, because I think even they can perceive there's something different here. My thing is he's a post-conciliar pope. Like, he's just, this is what you're gonna get. So I want to bring the next generation up, not with a spirit of hatred. Like, I want to bring the next generation up. And even look, I kind of laughed at Stephen Cox. Stephen Cox was like, Cardinal Burke's giving orders to Trad Inc., to Taylor Marshall and Michael Matt, and telling them to shut up and zip it. And at first I thought he was nuts. Well, but now I'm kind of thinking about it, and like, maybe Burke did say something to them and they're listening. Now, if you're in their position, a cardinal of the Catholic Church comes to you and asks you something, do you not would you not obey a cardinal of the Catholic Church if he came to you and said something? Like, I'm trying to understand people's logic in this. Yeah, if Cardinal Burke comes to me and says, I'm asking this of you, I'm sorry, I'm going to obey him.
What if it was Kupich?
Man.
But to your point, if a cardinal, said, hey, big man with a little beard, listen up, I'd be like, yes, sir.
We're not allowed to go there.
Settle down, Rob. You're always gonna make everything, Rob. You just
come on. That was funny.
Such a bad.
Come on, that wasn't that bad. I know. I had to chuckle a little at that. Come on.
I was thinking that we were all thinking it, but I think what's good with Leo is he actually total Pope-splainer vindication. With Leo, he's it's kind of funny. Pope Leo is literally, when you look at the commentary on Fiducia Supplicans, Pope Leo is literally doing the exact same thing that the Pope-splainers were doing when the document came out. So Pope-splainers, Pope Leo, he has confirmed, and he's really accepting Francis's legacy in a spirit of continuity. I think that's in a way of kind of toning down some of the more controversial aspects, which is exactly what I think is needed. I know that you guys would probably prefer Pius XIII to go into, like, start, flipping tables and stuff. But I really do think that for the health of the church, that there is not a catastrophic split and a catastrophic exodus from the church. I think that it is actually positive to boil the frog rather than throwing him in the boiling water.
I think you have to make a decision. Are you a sedevacantist or not? Like, if you're not a sedevacantist, you have to rethink the way you're doing this papacy. Like, it's not. I understood the outrage under Francis. I even get, like, why people are frustrated with Leo and he's doing the same thing and he's not wording things right. I'm not a sedevacantist. Like, I know everybody wants me to be. I'm not. And I don't want you to be. Not you. I know.
He's talking to three people specifically. Yeah.
It's just, if we're not, we have to think about what we're going to do going forward. And I don't know what people's plan. Like, I do see guys trying to adapt and handle things differently. And I think that's a good thing. I think that something new needs to come in the Catholic media realm. And I would like to see, now that we don't have a pope who's hostile towards even conservative, because, like, that was my point in the tweet, is that Francis was acting hostile towards, like, people who just loved reverence, and it wasn't just trads he was going after. So if you have somebody who's not hostile, it should be a time for brothers to make peace, which is going to lead to the after show. We'll figure that out too. But it should be a time where, okay, we don't have a father who's abusing us like a lot of us perceived Francis to be doing. I know, Christian, you didn't see it that way, but a lot of people did feel that way under Francis. So if we have a father who's not so abusive, it should be a time for brothers to reconcile at minimum. Whether you're thrilled with what's happening in Rome or not, it should be a time where we can all open up communication and start talking to one another again.
Yeah. Wait, what?
No,
Seriously?
no way. I haven't heard from Jeremiah, so nothing would surprise me.
It's over. It's over. Yeah, I think that you're right. I think that a lot of the mission of Catholic media should be very much sharpened. I've been thinking about this a lot with myself. Anthony and I, we've talked over the phone. I've talked over the phone with a few other people as well, trying to like think about how I want the future of my content to go. Like, what is the sort of practical end that I'm seeking? Because a lot of the time it feels like a lot of the Catholic media is just content for the sake of content. Like it's following the trends of whatever's being spoken about in media. You want a content. Actually, there was Kyle said a funny thing to me. He said that eventually, a lot of people, their content creation becomes a monster that they have to feed so they can feed their family. Like that's what it becomes for them.
Yeah.
Listen,
they're just throwing in whatever works, basically.
That's actually a really good point, right? So a lot of these guys are still like, this is always something that I raised about being like a professional Catholic, that you get into the problem of like, I'm dependent upon this now, so I have to do the most outrageous thing to get clicks. Rob and I are in a unique situation in that we have day jobs, right? So I'm working 16 hours of construction a day sometimes. I don't actually have time to sit and read and then present you guys with like a theological topic, which I would love to do. And I hope to do it on occasion. But for the most part, my only option is to just discuss whatever's happening and whatever's on my mind that day. I don't have time to give you guys something, of in depth at all times. I hope to do that through interviews, things like that. But the danger in when you do this for a living is that you just need to get clicks. All right, we get it. Yeah, I know I say the same thing all the time, but you guys trying to just share with you a little bit of the difficulty in what we do. Is because I had my brother gave us a comment last time we did a show, and he's like, why don't Rob and Anthony get back to talking about the Catholic faith and stuff? So, and he was just breaking our chops, but I had to actually say to him, I'm like, Joe, you're on my crew all day. Like, we work together. When do you want me to what do you want me to do? Study the sumo while I'm at work? Like, I can't do it.
I used to do that when I worked at Walmart.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really work at Walmart? Is that
that's where Walmart
the name
comes from. Yeah, dude. Where else was I supposed to work when I joined the Catholic Church and was completely without a job with a newborn child? I could work construction like Anthony, but I want to keep my soft hands. I actually did. My dad's a construction superintendent, and I actually did work with him in one winter. So I know how easy it is. It's not that hard. Anthony's crying for nothing.
Especially like the past week, I've been sick for the past week. I've been barely sleeping. I have all these ideas going through my head, and I watch pretty much everybody's stuff when I'm driving, and I try to keep an eye on like what everybody's doing. And I would like to see people come together. Like I'm tired of the infighting. I'm tired of the warring factions and stuff like that. I would like to see them come together. I know there's going to be some people who are just like, I can't associate with these people, but it'd be nice to see everybody helping each other out and doing stuff together. Can't we all just get along, sing Kumbaya?
If Anthony's uncle is watching, Anthony meant to say he listens while he drives.
Yes, yeah. I don't watch.
I agree. I think that we need the broad coalition, because there's this weird thing that happens on the internet. I don't know exactly what it is or why it is. I jokingly tweeted out, and I think, Rob, you actually tweeted something similar to this, is basically like, I need to stop crashing out on everybody who I agree with on 99% of things.
Yes.
That's like a real thing. Like, literally no reason. Somebody will like make a snarky comment and like in response to something I say, so I just have to like give a nuclear level crash out in the replies and like, post their docs and, send a division of Wagnerites, to their house. And, I just have to go like full on, scorched earth with this person. But really, I think that a lot of the collaboration and having a broader idea of like what we're doing here, because a lot of times, and this was kind of my point in mentioning the content for the sake of content. A lot of people don't actually have like a very missional idea of what they're doing on the internet. They're kind of like, oh, it's not that serious. You know, we're just doing live streams or we're just doing videos. But this idea of like just doing X or just doing Y, I don't think that's really appropriate when it comes to Catholic media. There really should be a broader and wider vision. Like the call of the Catholic is to take over the world, is to say that Christ has died, Christ has risen, Christ, he's coming again. Christ has redeemed all of creation, not merely our souls and bodies, but all of creation. And therefore, anything we're doing is meant to further this kingship. And having a broad idea of 10, 15, 20 years down the line, how am I going to further the kingship of Christ within whatever sphere that I'm given a spot in, like however small or however large it is? I think that's very important. So doing content for the sake of content rather than for the sake of furthering the kingship of Christ, I think that's something that a lot of us need to think about. And I think that a lot of the sensationalizing that had to or did happen under Francis was very unfortunate, because I've been a public opponent to a lot of the Trad Inc. people. Like I will admit it, you know, we've disagreed on a lot of things. We've had public falling outs, fights, whatever. But a lot of them are very talented people. A lot of them are very bright people, very smart people, people who, if they put their minds to more productive contents, they could change a lot of hearts. They could lead to a domino effect wider than they could ever imagine. And the fact that they're out there doing news reports basically and sensationalizing content on whatever Pope Francis, you know, did yesterday, it's very unfortunate. It's a waste of talents. You know, they are burying their talent by doing content like that.
Yeah, I think like the place where I might be able to offer assistance is I have a lot of conversations with people in the world. Like I'm much more in the world than I think most people are. And it even comes to like this weekend, I was away, and somebody that was away with us had just gotten in trouble with the law. And this person, because they got in trouble, they were talking to me, and my friend Bobby was there. Bobby came, Bobby watches the show, and he came, and they actually said, they were reflecting on their sins because they had gotten in trouble with the law. Okay. So they got caught stealing, and they were like, when this happened, I finally just had to like do a little bit of like thinking about my life. And I started thinking about all my sins. So now this person is opened up to reflecting on their life a little bit. They started going back to mass, but they have absolutely no catechesis whatsoever. And we just sat and we started talking and just going through some stuff. And there's a lot of, even from people who are raised Catholic, there's a lot of Protestant cultural stuff that drips in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you think because this person was raised in a Catholic home and all this stuff, the amount of Protestant stuff you have to deprogram out of even your cradle Catholics who should know better. It's really important how you go about those conversations, because I very easily could have scared this person off, you know, by over and going. I'm being very careful because I'm on YouTube and my family watches, but you know, it's those conversations are what I try to share with people, so that if they come across a situation like that in their lives, they might have some success in the areas where I've had success in sharing the gospel without going, have you accepted Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior?
Have you accepted Mary as your personal mother and intercessor?
That's absolutely how I went about it.
And that shirt is available for purchase, guys. Link down below.
Yeah, don't buy that. Spend the money on the YouTube membership so you don't have to be a local, right? Get out of the locals. That's
I've never done it to a guest before, but
Have you heard about the owner of Locals, the owner of Rumble? That's all I'll say.
Yes.
Will not be further commenting on that, because I want to keep our YouTube channels up.
Man, some interesting things have been happening on YouTube with like just even live concurrent viewers and the way YouTube counts the stuff. Like one thing I will ask you guys is if if you're watching this, leave comment, not in the live chat, like leave comments in the video, because when they see a lot of interaction, that's when they said, yeah, they like to see if our videos cause conversations and stuff. So yeah, please hit
so
like.
Guys out there, if you've seen your favorite content creator like doing weirdly like more clickbaity stuff over the last 2-ish months, the reason for that is because of the weird counting changing and the notifications changing and the algorithm shift. So they've been getting lesser viewership than normal. So a lot of people thought that it was because their content was more boring than normal. So people stopped watching it. So they had to like ramp up that. I've seen that with a lot of people. But I just took the month off. So
but what's interesting is our interactions and all our other metrics are the same, but our view counts are down. It's like a weird, bizarre thing. Yeah, our view counts are down, but all other metrics are the same. So it's like, I don't know what's going on with it.
That would be hilarious if it was literally just like a counting change and everybody thought that their audiences were like getting nuked.
That does seem to be what it is. People are saying like they've been looking at their like to view ratio, and like that, it used to be, say they would get 50% of their number of views and likes. Now it's like 80 or 90%. Their number of likes has stayed the same, but the views has dropped. So it seems to be YouTube's just changing the way how they count views.
Can I live stream your local stream after this?
He did pay us $5 right there.
That is true.
You can live stream my member stream. I will give you the permission.
All right. So before we do, because we're gonna keep this one short. We
do have some live chats.
We'll get, before we even get to the live chats, we will get to those before we wrap up here. But my point to the trads, I think it's time to, like, you guys have to come together and figure something out, because
being entertaining does help.
Very much. A lot of what I'm seeing out there is just this. I don't like what I'm seeing. That's all I'm saying. I'm seeing guys sniping at each other who I know agree in substance and are just. It's a difference in approach, and they're fighting about an approach. And I think there should be some kind of a conversation to be had, because I think that we blow it on, as conservatives and trads, we blow it every time by not having a long-term strategy for things. Like, there needs to be some long-term planning, some ways that we can maybe like turn the ship around down the road. We want everything now, and it's not going to work. So we have to figure some things out. We might have to have some conversations with people, bring them on and get people talking. Hopefully we could pull that off.
Yeah, I think I guess my closing thought, somebody, actually a former teacher of mine, reached out to me recently, and he was asking about content creation stuff, how he goes about it. Like, he's just starting out, what are the tips and stuff like that. And I think one of the things that I wanted to emphasize the most, because I've seen people not do this and then completely destroy like their entire channel. Basically, you want to focus on building an actual audience. And that's very important, because when you have like an actual relationship between content creator and audience, there's actually something that happens with that stabilizes. So for a lot of the people out there who kind of want to, monkey around and mess around with trying to just like get the view count up on as many videos as they can, and get this viral video here and get that viral video here and there, and that's going to like create a sustainable sort of channel, that just doesn't work. So really, you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing the sensational stuff, when if you just kind of were a more boring, stable, honest broker, just creating quality content over time, you're going to get an audience, and that audience is going to they're going to be dedicated to what you have to say. They're gonna like what you have to say. They're gonna follow what you have to say. They're gonna actually not just watch for entertainment, but are actually going to get out something from what you say. So I think that the sort of like long-term strategy of the Tratosphere, of a lot of very talented and skilled people who could really help with the furthering of the gospel, I think that would be a much more healthy way of looking about it, rather than trying to like seek those short-term gains that end up in the long-term losing.
And that's exactly what will happen out there. Like so, and a lot of this will come back to our conversation on locals, because like how Lofton built his channel was by like going after Taylor Marshall and going, and you will build an audience doing that. Like you will. But there's not really like a long-term sustainability in that, and we're starting to see that. I don't mean to bring Lofton up. I really don't. I'm saying because we've done that too. Everybody can do that. If you go and pick, a group and start attacking that group and picking people in that group, you will make a name for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna destroy relationships, and you're not going to build beyond this tiny little bubble that you create for yourself. And then you're gonna constantly be trying to chase that. You're going to see that the only time you get those views is when you're criticizing somebody. Like, it isn't easy to do an entertaining show regularly. It's very difficult. And like our show is like, I'm not trying to be some trad icon at all. Like our show is really just two guys having a conversation about Catholicism, from whether it's from what's in the news that day, or something deep spiritual experience that one of us had at some point, or raising our children and what's helped in, catechizing our kids in this secular world, things like that. But I'm telling you, it's easy to go for the low hanging fruit and take shots at somebody by name, and you will build a channel. Like you could do a video saying, has Anthony left Trad Inc.? Has Anthony left track? I thought like Nick Cavazos did today. You'll get a couple clicks, Nick, but I don't know if it's a good long-term strategy. I love Nick.
You got cooked in that video, by the way.
His video
I was totally cheering it when I was listening to it. I'm sorry, but if you guys watch it, I'm so sorry to point this out, Nick. But it's like one of his like lips was super chapped.
Oh, leave it alone. Stop it.
It was driving me nuts. I was like watching it, his lip was super chapped and he kept licking it, and I was like, Urgh.
I know what Nick was
I couldn't why he shut it off after like 3 minutes.
He was actually dissecting my tweet and what I was saying. I think some people misunderstood my tweet. They thought I was saying like the trad movement is going to die, and I don't think the trad movement is going to die. I just think it's going to go back down to a size more like it was under Benedict, and it's going to be more faithful people. And that might be a good thing, because I think it was overinflated, and there were these entire media conglomerates that were built and blew up, especially during COVID. Like COVID happened and everybody's channels blew up because everybody was sitting home, and then they thought they were going to sustain that. And it just, to keep people's attention is so difficult these days. There's so much competition out there. There's 80 billion podcasts for people to listen to. It's just, you do have to build an audience that actually likes you and not just clicks because of what topic you're covering or who you're interviewing. And that's a really tricky thing to do. We're just teasing you, Nick. We love you, bud. Sorry, my lips bother you, Christian. I will try. Yeah, why you gotta be mean, Christian? That's not nice.
It's just the autism struck at the wrong moment. Too much Tylenol.
Too much.
Yeah. Nick, we love you. You'll be on the next one we do with Christian. But we're all right. Let's read the super chats before we head out.
Okay. Why do you think trads embrace Kirk? I would assume either Charlie
Kirk.
I'm not sure. And the Trent Horn types don't. Is it a feminism thing? I think they'd be all for the ecumenism.
What in the world is that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Dan, sorry.
I don't know what he means by that. Why? Like Trent Horn and those guys didn't embrace Charlie Kirk? I don't know. I don't know if that's
is it Charlie or Erica? The feminism comment makes me think Erica.
The Trent
Horn.
Maybe Charlie too, because Charlie was anti-feminist.
Maybe we could discuss on locals also what you guys thought of the Charlie Kirk memorial, because I have kind of mixed feelings about it, and I don't want to just jump on and
I have very strong feelings. Very strong.
All right, well, we'll hear those over there. All right,
I didn't watch it, so yeah.
I saw clips. That's the thing. I didn't watch it. I saw clips, and yeah. So like Fed's a Protestant, and he watches our show regularly. He says we're fun, like you don't. It doesn't always have to be. I know I'm very adversarial to Protestants on Twitter, but a lot of it's just sarcasm and just teasing them.
Crazy ecumenism going on right now. I can't handle it.
Lunch money. Let's see here. So this is not so much for Anthony because he doesn't really know, but Taffy wants to know if we think will a 30-06 have an exit a body at 150 yards.
Look, all I'm going to say, Rob, I don't know whether we'll disagree on this. I have shot a hell of a lot of deer. I've skinned and gutted a hell of a lot of deer have been shot with a 30-06. If I shot somebody in the neck with that, there's going to be an exit hole. I can guarantee you.
It's unlikely to not have an exit wound, but bullets do crazy things. But I don't know, man. The only thing I could think, some ranges, indoor ranges especially, for rifles make you use frangible ammo, right? Because they don't want the rifle rounds penetrating into like a backstop. They wanted to break up. So maybe the idiot was, went to his range and just used whatever range ammo they made him buy, and it was frangible, and it just shattered maybe on a spine or something. I don't know. It is unlikely.
Oh, you got guns and rosaries for this. Stop. I don't care.
He paid us $20. You care for $20.
Yeah, some guy, Moors Ultra, shout out to Moors Ultra. He gave me 50 memberships. So I appreciate it. So everybody can watch the after show on Lofton.
Yeah, I want to see somebody give 50 locals memberships, guys. Let's go.
Can you gift locals memberships?
I don't know.
You can give coins
or something. Yeah.
Coins? Yeah. Oy vey.
So JD says,
got my coins, got my locals coins. Oy vey, give me 50 locals coins.
Yes, I know it is.
We're still on YouTube, Christian.
Bishop Paprocki said honoring a public figure who has actively worked to expand and entrench the right to end innocent human life in the womb undermines the very concept of human dignity and solidarity that the award purports to uphold, which he's talking about Supich giving an award to a Democrat politician. And then Archbishop Cordileone said, I stand in solidarity with Bishop Paprocki in Springfield, Illinois, in urging Cardinal Supich to reconsider giving Senator Durbin a Lifetime Achievement Award through the Archdiocese of Chicago's Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity, given his long record of supporting legal abortion. Bishop Paprocki, who is Senator Durbin's bishop, has expressed shock that the Archdiocese plans to honor Senator Durbin, who, although a self-professed Catholic, supports access to abortion so radically that he has even opposed legislation to protect babies born after an attempted abortion. Bishop Paprocki is correct that both clarity and unity are at risk. I hope this will be a clarion call to all members of the body of Christ to speak out, to make clear the grave evil that is taking of innocent human life. I'm sorry, but this statement does not happen under Francis.
That's true.
This does not. People were terrified they would get Strickland. I'm telling you, there's something happening where our bishops are like, okay, new pope, I'm going to start speaking out. And they're going bishop against bishop publicly. So it's a unique moment.
So next? House Music for $50 has a question.
Okay, so House Music is my little Patrick. Little Patrick came to Italy with me.
Yeah.
Little Patrick, who was supposed to come to Pennsylvania, and we called him, we're like, you coming to PA? He's like, no, I'm in Japan. I don't know how the heck he's in Japan, but...
Well, if you're asking a question to me, and he sent a super chat on your
I told him, he said I might super chat tonight.
Okay.
He said I might super chat tonight. I go, you better super chat on my channel and not Wagner's channel, because I'll kill you next time I see you.
That's fair enough.
Wow. Threats in someone's life. Okay. Does prayer aid the development of moral virtues? I know that it depends on action, but if I'm praying for courage or magnanimity, even if it depends on my action, I can't imagine that God wouldn't help us in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the natural moral virtues, there are the virtues which are somehow essentially supernatural. So faith, hope, charity, the gifts of the Holy Ghost are also habits, etc., etc. And then there are those which are essentially natural, but they are modally supernatural. So by modally supernatural basically means that it is something that comes to us in a supernatural way. So all of the moral virtues and natural intellective virtues, they come to us by sanctifying grace. And when it comes to the exercise of these virtues, we can think about the increase of their adhesion in us. We can think about the different obstacles in our faculties, like we might have, a superfluous amount of concupiscence or irascible behavior, or we may have various different vices that order us in different ways. We can ask, when we're asking God to increase in us these different virtues, he's aiding us in removing all of those contrary habits, aiding us in strengthening the adhesion of those virtues within us, to aid us and give us those good inspirations so we can consider the goodness of the exercising of those virtues, to actually elect to carry them out. So there's many different ways. Like if you want to scientifically break it down in moral theology and look at the various different aspects of the exercise of a virtue, like we can talk about all those things. But the short answer is just yes. Like God can aid you in the exercise of even natural virtues.
I'm glad to see our audience finally super chatting a bit, because Christian's audience super chats like crazy on his show. I've caught your live streams. Your audience is very generous, unlike
you guys are awesome. Well, somebody on my side said, sorry, but trad larpers who don't chant the hours in Latin every day but screech about Vatican II are the actual enemy. Just my opinion. So real. You guys are so cucked right now.
Yo, I learned that I don't know the Angelus in Latin last week. We were away with a bunch of guys, and they said the Angelus in Latin. And I was like, I only know the Hail Mary in Latin.
Et concepite Spiritu Sancto.
Yeah, I only know the Hail Mary, and like the glory.
Trad larper.
I am a trad larper. That's it.
Yeah, we got a couple more. Well, so Andy paid us $30. I don't know what he means, but
I don't know
what about Cavazos though? Sorry, Andy.
If you're asking, we love Nick.
Someone said that they were that they're broke, but they really wanted us to answer this. So sorry, Anthony. But do you think there's a connection with an Augustinian pope and a president that talks a lot about peace? Because St. Augustine talks a lot about peace as a supreme good of life.
Oh yeah, he asked me that question on mine too, but I accidentally skipped over it.
I think there's more of a connection between the fact that we have the first American pope and we have an American president who acts like an emperor, and I'm more interested in that connection, because I see America as like the new Roman Empire, and we have the first American pope, and I think that's a connection. But what do you think about St. Augustine?
I think there's an interesting connection with Leo the 13th, because when you read Immortali Dei, what you see is that basically the political program of the Catholic Church is based on St. Augustine, and specifically on the city of God, in response to the claims against Christianity and the good of the state. Like, this is Leo the 13th. Like, he completely explains Catholic political philosophy in light of this. So I think that when it comes to Leo the 13th, he also had a very sharp understanding of the American situation, the different virtues that the American people have, the hope that we have for the American people in the future, when she accepts the Catholic faith. And I think he was very clear that Leo the 13th thought that America would eventually accept the Catholic religion in its fullness, not only in a truncated way like a lot of Americans viewed the effects of Catholicism in the civil sphere.
Somebody's asking if I know the Our Father. Yes, I know the whole rosary. I know all the responses at Mass, because I'm not that bad. JD, I would say, so my wife was...
So JD asks, what is your advice to get your spouse into TLM?
Thank you, Rob. I'm terrible about actually reading the questions, and I know people get driven nuts by that. I can only share my experience. My wife was very resistant early on, and it was because I kept pressing it. But eventually I just asked her to go, and I didn't argue with her about veiling. I just brought her, and she fell in love with the music and the aesthetics of it at first. And after bringing her several times without like arguing about why it's this and that, I just kind of left it to God. And now my wife, she just likes the Novus Ordo more than I do at this point.
Based.
Advice for diocesan seminarians who are traditional.
Don't be an idiot. Do not be an idiot. If you try to be a hero, you will get screwed over. Okay. Your bishop will bury you if you try to be a hero and you act like an idiot. Okay. Be smart. Do not spurg out. Okay. I've seen it before.
Yeah.
All these
Stay off the
seminarians
Tylenol.
and seminarians, they spurg out, think they're going to be a hero and change their bishop's mind, and they get hammered into the dust.
Yeah, then they have to go to an old Roman Catholic bishop to get ordained, and it's just not pretty.
I'm not sure if I'm going to promote Mass of the Ages until I get a call from Cameron. That's all I'm going to say. Cameron's still, still stealing her ideas.
A call asking you to come on, or a call apologizing for stealing the Faith and Film
Rob,
series?
you always go too far, Rob.
You're the one that brought that up.
I
the
dropped
last
a
time.
little hint at something here. You just. So what am I going to do about this guy?
Yeah,
we
you
got
were
any
you were yapping about him on the phone for like an hour.
All right. So what we are going to do now, we are going to go over to locals and Christians, members only, and we're going to discuss what happened behind the scenes. Michael Lofton reached out, and we'll get into that, and then I think we're going to discuss the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
I'm thanking all my people for the super chats.
Come over to locals, guys. Like, where else are you getting a show? Come on. Like, I'm so tired of you guys watching the YouTube only portion. It's
okay. Well, I'm switching over to my member stream, or if you're a patron, I posted a link there as well.
Okay.
So I'm switching my stream over.
All right, Rob.
Thank you, everybody. God bless. Remember to like, subscribe, blah.
Yeah, if you're subscribed to Avoiding Babylon and not Scholastic Answers, go throw him a sub. If you're subscribed to Scholastic Answers and not Avoiding Babylon, throw us a sub. It's $5 a month. You could get like a single episode for $4, and then you could get the year for $50. People are asking how much it is. Very much worth the money. We do a locals episode pretty much every show we do, and that's where we can get a little more spicy, and we don't have to worry about the general public watching what we say. So, all right, we'll head on over. Take us out, Rob.
Anthony's family.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm just because the video you want to play on locals, I'm gonna just remove all the public.
Yeah, remove
podcasts,
YouTube, and then we'll have an
play the
intro video. We have an intro video coming that only locals gets. So if you're still watching on X, get over there quick.
I already stopped mine and started my member stream. So I started before you, which means that everyone's going to flood into mine.
Find it bad, Rob. All right, let me get my locals chat up.